Most people come up to me after over 200 shows. They'll say, the scene I remember most is when you and Archie discussed how you put socks and shoes on.
Do you remember him? The familiar face who once shared the screen with Hollywood's biggest names, then quietly disappeared from the spotlight. For years, fans sensed tension behind the scenes, but no one knew the real story. What truly shocked Hollywood was his deep, personal dislike for Rob Reiner, a feud never openly explained at the time. Now, decades later, the truth has finally surfaced, revealing hurt feelings, creative clashes, and a moment that changed everything. This isn't just another celebrity disagreement. It's a hidden Hollywood story that rewrites what we thought we knew. Carroll O'Connor was born as John Carroll O'Connor on August 2, 1924, in the Bronx, New York, born into a proud Irish-American family where education, tradition, and storytelling were deeply cherished. His childhood unfolded against the harsh backdrop of the Great Depression, a time that quietly etched into him a lifelong awareness of class struggle, social tension, and the fragile ways people see the world. Those early hardships would later surface in his performances, giving them an uncommon emotional truth. O'Connor's path was never straightforward. He studied at Wake Forest University and later the University of Montana, but his academic journey was interrupted by World War II, when he served in the United States Merchant Marine. That experience exposed him to danger, discipline, and the raw complexity of human nature, lessons that stayed with him long after the war ended. Returning home, he completed a degree in English, drawn to language, literature, and the power of expression. For a time, he even pursued teaching, unaware that acting would soon claim his heart. In the 1950s, O'Connor moved to Ireland, studying at University College Dublin, where theatre became more than an interest. It became a calling. On stage, he refined his craft with patience and humility, preparing for a future that offered no guarantees. Back in the United States during the 1960s, he worked steadily in television and film, appearing in projects like Cleopatra, What Did You Do in the War, Daddy? And Point Blank. Versatile yet overlooked, he drifted through supporting roles until the 1970s finally brought the part that would forever change his life and television history. That defining role arrived in the early 1970s when Carroll O'Connor stepped into the worn shoes of Archie Bunker on All in the Family. From 1971 to 1979, Archie stood as a blunt, working-class man from Queens, carrying the anger, fears, and deep-rooted prejudices of a nation caught between old beliefs and a rapidly changing world. It was a role many actors would have avoided, but O'Connor leaned into it without apology. He refused to play Archie as a joke, instead giving him weight, contradiction, and flashes of wounded humanity that made him feel painfully real. Through O'Connor's performance, Archie became more than a character. He became a reflection of America itself. Audiences didn't always agree with him, but they recognized him, laughed with him, and sometimes saw uncomfortable truths staring back at them. The series shattered television norms, boldly tackling racism, gender equality, war, and class division at a time when such conversations were rarely allowed into living rooms. O'Connor's work earned him 4 Emmy Awards and lasting acclaim, and when he returned to the role in Archie Bunker's place from 1979 to 1983, he extended a legacy that forever changed television and how it dared to tell the truth. Carroll O'Connor was never known for softening his opinions, especially when strong emotions were involved, and his relationship with Rob Reiner proved to be one of the most painful chapters of his career. Reiner, who played Archie Bunker's liberal son-in-law, became the one person O'Connor openly admitted he could not stand. In later years, O'Connor spoke with startling honesty about the depth of that resentment, acknowledging that it wasn't a fleeting irritation but a bitterness that lingered throughout much of the show's run and quietly weighed on him. Their conflict went far beyond the usual creative friction of a television set. At its core were clashing personalities, opposing temperaments, and sharply different views on acting itself. O'Connor believed Reiner carried himself with an air of intellectual and moral superiority, shaped in part by the politics of his character. To O'Connor, that attitude disrupted the ensemble's balance and chipped away at the mutual respect he felt was essential to honest storytelling. Proud, disciplined, and fiercely protective of his craft, O'Connor poured everything into making Archie Bunker feel real rather than performative. What troubled him most wasn't simply Reiner's approach to the role, but the unspoken judgment he felt on set, the sense that his own interpretation of Archie was being challenged or diminished. In hindsight, the tension feels tragically ironic. Two actors helping create one of television's most honest portraits of cultural division, while privately living out a division of their own. Carol O'Connor did not hide how deeply he struggled with Rob Reiner, often describing him as overbearing and difficult, someone whose behavior crossed the line from ordinary creative disagreement into something that felt intentionally antagonistic. To O'Connor, Reiner wasn't merely challenging ideas, he was challenging authority, harmony, and the fragile balance that kept a long-running production functioning. The tension he felt seeped into every corner of the set, quietly straining relationships and turning already demanding days into emotional endurance tests. What hurt O'Connor most was the absence of any personal warmth between them. While other cast members found camaraderie in shared laughter and mutual trust, he experienced only distance and quiet disdain. As he later reflected, "There was never a moment when I felt like Rob was my friend. He was always out to prove something, always competing for attention in ways I found exhausting." That sense of isolation lingered, leaving O'Connor feeling as though he had to constantly defend not only Archie Bunker, but his own legitimacy as an artist. Their encounters, by O'Connor's account, were stiff and uncomfortable, often edged with hostility. Reiner's energy, he believed, magnified every disagreement and made collaboration feel like confrontation. Yet beneath the personal resentment lay something deeper, a philosophical divide. O'Connor saw Archie as a layered, conflicted man whose contradictions demanded careful, humane interpretation. Reiner's portrayal, in contrast, struck him as pointed and ideological, pushing satire toward sermon. O'Connor bristled at that imbalance, later remarking, "It wasn't about acting. It was about him trying to teach me a lesson every day about liberal versus conservative, right versus wrong. I'm an actor, not a preacher." That unresolved clash followed them into every shared scene, a quiet battle beneath the dialogue. In retrospect, it feels tragically fitting. Two men portraying America's deepest divisions, while privately living a division they could never truly mend. For all the depth of his resentment, Carol O'Connor rarely let it spill into his work. His sense of discipline was absolute. No matter how strong his personal dislike for Rob Reiner became, he kept it carefully contained once the cameras rolled, channeling that tension into performances that felt sharper and more honest rather than disruptive. In an ironic twist, that unresolved hostility may have fueled the electric friction between Archie Bunker and Michael, giving their arguments a raw authenticity audiences instinctively recognized. O'Connor himself would likely have seen little comfort in that idea. Away from the spotlight, his feelings never softened. Even late in life, He remained unflinching in his assessment, once stating, "I've worked with many people I couldn't stand, but Rob topped them all, more than anyone ever." It was a remark delivered without bitterness, but also without forgiveness. A quiet testament to how deeply the experience stayed with him. Ultimately, O'Connor's feud with Reiner reflected the contradictions within the man himself. He was deeply committed to his art, fiercely protective of his creative voice, and unwilling to tolerate what he perceived as arrogance or intrusion. To the public, he was the familiar, blustering presence of Archie Bunker. Behind the scenes, however, his relationship with Reiner revealed a private struggle that shaped much of his time on All in the Family. It stands as a somber reminder that even the most beloved on-screen partnerships can conceal unseen conflicts, as intense and complicated as the stories that unfold before the audience. In the late 1980s and through the mid-1990s, Carroll O'Connor quietly reshaped his legacy with another unforgettable role, Chief Bill Gillespie in the Heat of the Night. Airing from 1988 to 1995, the series revealed a very different side of O'Connor. Where Archie Bunker had been rigid and combative, Gillespie was thoughtful, compassionate, and capable of growth. Set in a small Mississippi town weighed down by racial tension and moral complexity, the character evolved with time, learning to listen, adapt, and confront injustice with empathy rather than anger. Behind the scenes, O'Connor also served as a writer and producer, proving that his gifts extended far beyond performance. His guiding hand helped shape the show into a long-running success, cementing his reputation not just as an actor, but as a storyteller and leader who understood nuance and restraint. Decades earlier, in 1962, while filming Cleopatra in Rome amid the chaos of one of Hollywood's most infamous productions, O'Connor and his wife, Nancy Fields O'Connor, made a decision that would forever define his private life. In the middle of extravagant sets, relentless schedules, and the glare of global attention, they adopted a young boy and named him Hugh, a name chosen in loving remembrance of O'Connor's brother, who had died only a year before. The adoption blended grief and hope, honoring a life lost while welcoming a new one. It revealed O'Connor's unwavering devotion to family, even when his professional world was at its most demanding. As Hugh grew up, he naturally became familiar with the rhythms of television life. At 17, he took on a modest job as a courier on Archie Bunker's place. To outsiders, it may have seemed insignificant, but to O'Connor it was meaningful, a chance to introduce his son to discipline, responsibility, and the reality behind the cameras. Later, in the Heat of the Night, O'Connor went even further, creating the character of Officer Lonnie Jameson specifically for Hugh. It was not an act of favoritism, but of faith, a father offering his son a space to grow creatively under watchful, loving guidance. That bond was shattered on March 28, 1995, when Hugh died by suicide after a long and painful struggle with drug addiction. The loss devastated O'Connor in ways no role ever could. The grief of losing a child became the defining sorrow of his later years. Yet, in the face of unimaginable pain, he chose purpose over silence. O'Connor began speaking openly about Hugh's battle, appearing in public service campaigns for the Partnership for a Drug-Free America. He used his fame not to shield himself, but to warn others, giving voice to the quiet suffering of families torn apart by addiction. For the rest of his life, O'Connor remained committed to awareness, compassion, and prevention. His advocacy transformed private tragedy into public service, revealing a man whose greatest legacy may not have been the characters he portrayed, but the love he carried as a father, and the courage he found in turning loss into hope for others. Carroll O'Connor passed away at the age of 76 on June 21, 2001, in Culver City, California, a place deeply woven into the fabric of Hollywood and into the later chapters of his life. His death was sudden yet rooted in a long, quiet struggle. A heart attack ended his life, brought on by years of complications from diabetes, an illness that had steadily taken its toll. Over time, the disease weakened his cardiovascular health, leaving his heart vulnerable. And when the moment came, it marked the close of a remarkable era in American television. O'Connor had been more than a familiar face on screen. Through Archie Bunker, he brought humor edged with pain, comedy infused with truth, and social commentary that forced audiences to confront uncomfortable realities about class, prejudice, and change. His performances carried weight because they came from lived experience and deep emotional conviction. With his passing, television lost one of its most commanding and thoughtful voices. He was laid to rest at Westwood Village Memorial Park Cemetery in Los Angeles, a hallowed ground for many of Hollywood's most enduring figures. The choice reflected not only his stature within the industry, but also the respect he earned through decades of uncompromising work. Yet the most moving detail of his memorial lay in its intimacy. Alongside his name, a cenotaph honoring his son, Hugh, was placed on the gravestone. That gesture spoke volumes. Hugh, adopted during a pivotal period in O'Connor's life, remained at the center of his world. The shared monument stands as a quiet testament to love, loss, and devotion, reminding visitors that behind the towering public figure was a father deeply shaped by family and grief. In stone and silence, O'Connor's legacy endures, marked not only by cultural impact, but by the enduring bond of a father and his son.